Hey everyone, welcome to Spark Day 2. It's great to be back with everyone. We have a special guest with us today. A 15-year veteran of the NBA, a three-time world champion, an NBA Finals MVP, a two-time gold medalist, a best-selling author, and an investor in Apartmentless, an amazing role model for all of us and a friend, the one and only Andre Iguodala. Andre, it's great to have you today.
Thank you so much. I think I should have recorded that as my go-to introduction. So appreciate you. Great to be here in front of all the A-listers. Excited to be in front of the team and talking to everyone, talking to you. So always been inspired by what you've been able to build and the journey you've gone on, and excited about the journey that lies ahead. So just really excited to be a part of this.
I am totally down to apply to be your personal hype man. So whenever that position's open or there's an internship, I'm going to throw my hat into the ring. I know you're in the middle of the season. I really appreciate you taking the time. Real quick though, last time we sat down, we talked about your son Andre Jr.'s growth spurt, and I was just hoping we could get a status update there.
He is 6'1" now, just turned 14. He weighs 108 pounds. So yeah, he's very, very skinny, but I was the same way, so not too worried about him.
Unreal. He's already taller than me. Okay, great. I can't wait to see him in a uniform. Is he going to follow in your footsteps, you think?
Great question. He's got the skill set. He's a better shooter than I was at his age. Different type of environment growing up. So he has everything at his disposal. So that can hurt you or harm you. So, but he has the brain though. So I'm not too worried about him in terms of being successful in life. I think he'll be fine, no matter what route he takes.
When you're at his games, are you like sometimes like biting your tongue? I can see you like kind of being the dad who knows exactly what to do in a particular circumstance, and like, hey, coach, maybe talk to the the NBA Finals MVP over here.
I'm different from most parents. Most parents are kind of crazy and riled up. I'm more so, they need to be yelled at a little bit more. The new age kids are pampered, so they get away with a lot more than I did when I was younger. So, but I'm more laid back, and I'm playing the long game with him, so I understand growth spurts and maturity, and where certain kids are in their journey into sports, and a kid growing early and being strong, and other kids being late bloomers. So I got a pretty decent perspective in terms of when to put the foot on the gas and when to ease off in terms of the advice I give my son.
I love that. And with a 1-year-old daughter myself, I'm gonna be hitting you up for parenting tips. I like every time we chat, I just get more enamored with this concept of how does Andre Iguodala fit it all in? Like world-class investor, incredible basketball player, incredible dad, like family man. How do you think about balance?
Yeah, well, balance is something that I think we should all continue to try to get better at every single day. It's one of those things you can never quite conquer, especially when you have so many things going on. But I think for the most part, the foundation, you have to be doing what you love to do. You have to want to make an impact. And most importantly, surround yourself with the right people. You got to have the right teammates out there. In order to be successful on the court, you got to have a good front office. You got to have good investors. You got to have good teammates, coaching staff, the trainers. Everybody's a part of the team. You always want to be on the same page. Always want to have a huge respect for one another, good intentions, and when you have that mix of ingredients, it tends to gear towards the side of success, or the side of just a healthy work environment.
Yeah, I was switching gears to some basketball. I was checking out your stats from that NBA Finals MVP season, and I was pretty emboldened when I saw that you actually shot better from 3-point land than your good friend Steph Curry. I checked the stats, and I think you were 40% from downtown. He was 38.5. But it brought up the question for me, like, what is your favorite NBA moment?
Good question. Oh, really, really good question. Steph shoots more threes than me, so I have a smaller sample size, so the shooter percentage and I kind of I kind of cheated, and then when you make a few, don't bring the percentage down, so you don't take one or two. But in that series, I got hot, perfect timing. He took a lot of pressure off of me. So, that was a great team environment. But in terms of favorite NBA moment, that's up there, winning championship. Actually, one of my favorite moments was the World Championships in 2010. Actually played with Steph on that team as well, which was in Turkey. Great moment, up and coming young players. We were considered the B team as a national team, and got the gold medal. That was a great experience. And obviously being drafted was, it's hard to prepare for what comes with being drafted, being a professional athlete, being thrown into that world, and how you manage everything that comes with it.
Yeah, if you're up for sharing, would love to kind of hear what are your NBA goals now?
NBA goals now. Well, I'm tracking I'm on the back end, like the very, 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 very back end. So for me, it's just trying to make the most of it every day, be impactful, especially to my teammates, my young guys. I was very fortunate to have some really good veterans, some guys who really set me up to be successful in this league for a very long time. When I came in, it was more older veteran players on teams. Now it trends to be a little bit more younger. So for me, they taught me the do's and the don'ts. I knew the guys who to follow. I tended to look up to the guys who weren't as talented, but had a lot of years of experience because I said a lot about them. There's the guy who's, may not be lead the team in scoring or may not, get all the notoriety or in front of the news reporters every single night, but they had been in the NBA for 8, 9, 10 years, which says a lot. The average lifespan of a professional athlete continues to go down. In basketball, it just went from, I think, 4.5, 5 years when I first came in to now it's about 3.5 years. So the turnover, it's like half the league is out the league every like 2 years. So the turnover is pretty crazy. So I knew those guys were doing something right. And, I told myself kind of following their footsteps in terms of how they handled themselves, how they spoke, how they handled their business off the court, things they were doing to keep themselves healthy, mentally healthy. And, looking back, it seemed like it was the right thing to do.
Well, we all hope you get to hoist that Larry O'Brien one more time. As far as goals after basketball, I mean, if you want, you're like one of the most prolific investors I've met. So I wonder, when you think about kind of the next chapter, I know you love to golf too, but what do you see yourself doing after basketball?
My golf game has severely suffered in the last year, I would say, with the bubble. The bubble, I did play some golf, but we've really been focused on, trying to finish up my career strong. So really been locked in there on the court, and then off the court, really excited about that. A lot of different opportunities to come our way with different investments, being a value investor to companies and trying to help them expand and grow in many different ways. Took a job for about a year there with Comcast Ventures, leading the Catalyst Fund and investing in underfunded founding communities, African American women and Latinx communities. And then that was just eye-opening, being a part of that process and the team there and learning so many different things. And the next chapter is I'm kind of in the middle of it right now. I'm in the end of the beginning of starting something new that you'll hear about pretty soon that I'm very excited about. Continuing to invest in really good companies, continuing to invest in my community, the inner city, giving a lot of kids access to this space. I didn't have an opportunity to, I never heard of Silicon Valley until I got there. Really didn't know too much about stocks. Definitely didn't know about the private world, private markets. But, as we saw through COVID, there was just the process was sped up in terms of digitized world, people getting more familiar with the tech world, the financial services that people are been able to have access to, being able to go out and find an environment where you can have success in, which, talking to you is fitting, your home life has become, the center of your world in terms of, how that helps you become successful. And the partner list is putting people in a position to get their foundation set up strategically in the right way that fits them, so they don't have to have that worry, and then they can just flourish from there in terms of how they're sleeping, how they're waking up, and then that work-life balance from home to work, and that whole hybrid, and just kind of how COVID tried to disrupt us, but it looks like we've been able to tackle a lot of issues that came with it.
I mean, that deeply resonates with me on a lot of levels. And, we pride ourselves on kind of delivering everyone a home they love. And home definitely takes on new meaning in the midst of a global pandemic. And how do you think of some of that change that transpired at home? And, did COVID change the way you think about home?
I think it did. You learn to really appreciate the small things. That time that you took for granted before. You had a lot of people who lost loved ones. So, you take those moments very near and dear to your heart. Time with the kids, time with the wife, making sure you reach out to the folks that, you have a close relationship, and you feel very, a warm spot for that. You may not call them as much as you thought you should before, but now it's like, who do I need to check up on? You're having those thoughts. You're being more mindful, and then you're having a lot of compassion. A lot of people struggle throughout have been struggling and are struggling throughout this time, and you're trying to be a helping hand. I think you're just thinking more towards others, and it should help us moving forward in terms of having that compassion, having that empathy for other people, how we can make a difference, how we can put our stamp on others and not just thinking about ourselves. So being in the bubble, playing in that environment, I got closer with my teammates. We built an amazing bond. And, as much as you hear about being a professional athlete and the wealth that comes with it, those bonds and those relationships are the things that outweigh anything else.
I'm sure there's a lot of memories to cherish. I can imagine. On that front, I mean, what motivates Andre Iguodala? Like, what gets you fired up?
I'm naturally a competitor, and it's not necessarily about wins and losses, but you're always looking at the scoreboard. You want to win more than anything else, but you want to have impact on others, and you want to give them that winning formula. And the winning formula it really isn't any secret sauce. It's all about having those good intentions, putting in that hard work. And for me, I always say maximizing your potential. Whoever you are and whatever your passions are, the skill set that you've been blessed with, maximize it. Get the most out of yourself. I always would say, I've been on teams where, we never really had a shot at winning a championship, but we had a shot at getting better every day and maximizing our potential as a team. And at the end of the year, I said, did we get further or did we meet the expectations we were supposed to? And if we didn't, that's where I said, we didn't do what we were supposed to. I don't like using the word failure, but I failed my teammates if I didn't get the most out of them. So every year for me is, how can I get the most out of myself, and how can I get the most out of those who are working with me?
And when you're in that adversity, facing that turmoil, what kind of motivates you through that, or how do you stay upbeat when you're in those extreme circumstances?
That's actually my favorite part, getting through the hard times. The first championship, we're in game 6, and we have a comfortable lead throughout the game, but Cleveland keeps fighting back, and they keep cutting the lead, and we get comfortable, and then we get uncomfortable. We get comfortable, and then we get uncomfortable. So it's the epitome of an NBA season, the emotional roller coaster that you go through, the ups and the downs, and how you balance it all. When you're high, you can kind of get full of yourself, and you don't want that to happen. But when you get low, you can kind of feel sorry for yourself, and you don't want to do that. So it's all about keeping that evenness throughout the year. And what better way than going through that in Game 6, being up 3-2, and remember the timeout, telling the guys, it's supposed to be hard. Like, this is, what we play for, to see how we get through the turmoil and how we get through the emotions of having an opportunity to win a championship. So it's just about really embracing that. And when you're seeing problems come up, I think that's when you're doing something right. When you're having to face adversity, when you're facing problems, because, now you're exerting yourself. You're putting out everything. You're pouring out your heart. And Steve Kerr would always say, the champagne isn't about winning the championship. The champagne is getting over the hard times, getting over the obstacles that was thrown at you throughout the journey.
In that Game 6, there's a couple minutes left in that game. You're giving a fire up speech in the huddle. Like, what, in the back of your mind, how does that pressure mount up? Are you just so familiar with it that you can compartmentalize it? You can forget about the cameras and the national TV audience and the crowd, or does that do you feed off some of that energy from the environment? I'm just really curious, what goes through the mindset of an NBA world champion in those final 2 minutes of a closeout game?
Well, you really block out everything around you. So, the speeches aren't pre-planned. It just kind of happens. You built this great relationship with those that you're working with. You understand things that are going on in their minds. What makes your teammate go. What makes them shut down. How they respond to different types of criticisms. All the personalities and how to approach each one. And it's just a family atmosphere. And in those moments, it seems like everything outside of you is quiet. You really don't hear anything. You don't hear the crowd. You don't see the cameras. You're just blocking out everything. And that's when you're in that Zen mode where you're just locked in on the task at hand. And, that's every second, every inch of everything around you is, kind of hyper focused, because you want to win every inch. You want to win every second, every possession. So, you've been doing this your whole life. And you've used all those experiences that you've had before, whether you've had success before, where you felt before, where you felt pain before, where you felt joy. All those things are resonating, or it's kind of going on in your mind. It's like, I've been here before. I'm built for this. Even though I haven't been here, everything that has led up to here is preparing me for this moment. So when you know you've done everything you're supposed to do up until that point, you're really comfortable with yourself, and you're really confident in everything you do, because you haven't half-stepped along the way, and what happens is supposed to happen, and you just go out there and you be who you are.
Now I see why your story is that of a best-selling author as well. I'm gonna frame that and put everything you just said on the wall at Apartment List headquarters. On the advice side, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received or given?
Best piece of advice, got a lot. I think of someone like Kobe Bryant, who had a very lasting effect on me in my career. Coming into the NBA, signing with his agent, and studying everything that he had done up until that point, to see why he was the best in the world, and then being able to see it up close and personal, and then being his teammate on the Olympic team. He was always about the long game, and he would always say, you're working out today for, a moment that you may not realize today it affects 5 years from now. So everything you do now will affect you moving forward, and you're building. The foundation is always being built. It's always being built. It's always being built, and you want it to be a sturdy foundation that stands the test of time. And it becomes a legacy, not necessarily for a name or not for recognition, but you're building a legacy to inspire others. And sometimes I think we get so wrapped up in what we're doing, or we're so focused on maybe short-term goals, or different things that may not matter as much, such as something like a trophy. Uh, but we really inspire other people, and I saw the joy and the love from all the fans and kids who watch and look up to me. And in those moments, I even look back to when I was a kid, and I have to catch myself and say, when I was 10, 11 years old and I'm watching Michael Jordan play, I never in my right mind would have thought that I'd be experiencing something that he was experiencing and I was watching him experience it. So understanding how you have a huge impact on others, and how you respond to the joy, how you respond to failure, really can set the tone for the next generation. So always keeping that in mind, about the long game, and setting myself up to not only the impact, but 10, 20 years from now, I'm still going to be competitive. I still want to be at the forefront of helping athletes have a lasting effect outside the game, being involved with companies that help the world spin.
And on that note, Andre, like, why did you decide to invest in Apartment List?
There's this guy named John Cobbs who I was able to get in contact with, and was able to go down to the headquarters in SF, and just really enter a great atmosphere. It has some good energy to it. It was like quiet, but at the same time, everyone was locked in. I was like, whoa, we're working in here today. And it's got an inspiring story of what the company's trying to do. And it's just beyond, finding four walls for someone or for a family to exist in. It's really about them flourishing within those four walls, and how you set up a place for them to be confident, be comfortable, feel safe. And I keep talking about foundation. It gives them an opportunity to, have that less worry, and knowing that they feel really comfortable once they leave that door. They're in great spirits. They're in a great peace of mind, and they can go out and be great in the areas that exist around home, because home is where it starts, and you want to be in a good. You want to have a peace of mind when you're home, and you want to be able to, have a sense of community as well, and a place that really fits who you are and what you're trying to do. And on top of that, I think it's very rare that you find a profitable company that's still young. You have a lot of companies that are listed on the NASDAQ, or listed on different stock exchanges, that are still trying to get to that path of profitability. I sit on a few boards, and one of the boards that's been our main theme. How do we get to profitability? How long is it going to take us to get there? What do we have to do to get there? And there's so many moving parts, and I don't think some people don't understand what goes into that, and for what you build, and what the team's been able to build is such a great company. And with it being young, there's so many great opportunities that lie ahead. So it was really a no-brainer, and why I invested in Apartment List.
It means the world to us, Andre. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, I lost a lot of hair in the process, but it's been an amazing ride.
I'm not far
Any
behind.
final
Keep it low.
any final advice that you'd want to share with our audience and leaders in the multifamily rentals industry?
Yes, I just think the mission is something that really resonates with me. But at the same time, when you spoke to me about the passion project of the company, and the initiatives that you've been able to do with the likes of Serena Williams, and looking out for the less fortunate, and especially women, that really, set close to me. I grew up with a grandmother who had her doors open to any and everyone, and she had a foster home, and at any given moment, it can be anywhere from 7 to 15 children living in her home. And I was right there in the middle of that, and I saw that every day, and the impact she had on others. So that mission alone, it sits close to me, and really, really appreciative of you letting me be involved with the company and share some of my experiences, and at the same time, hopefully inspiring anyone who may be a fan to let them know that you've all been doing a great job and just continue to think big as you've always been and continue to have an impact on the less fortunate and those who are in need. So thank you very much.
Oh, you have my commitment that we'll continue to do that. And Andre, I really appreciate you carving out time to share with us. It's always just really thrilling. Something I've long admired about Andre is his commitment to everything he does. He's world class from business to fatherhood, and you're truly an inspiration to so many. And it's always an honor to chat with you. So thank you so much for everything you do for the community. And for Apartment List. And I really hope you play great tonight and excited for our next chance to hang whenever that may be.
Thank you so much. Playoffs are right around the corner. So, after hopefully another championship run, excited to see you and to see everybody on the A-list team.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andre.
Yes, sir.
A lot of these guys, but there can only be one MVP. And this year's MVP is a player who didn't start in a single game until these finals. This year's Bill Russell MVP, Andre Iguodala.